Welcome, everyone. This is the Edgewalker Cafe, and we're in July of 2024. Someone yesterday, I was in a meeting and said, this is the halftime report. And I was like, halftime? Halftime report? How can it be? No. Then I thought, wait, yes. No, I don't know if I want to cheer for that or not. I don't know if you feel the same as I do. So, welcome, though. It's so good to see your faces. If you're able to turn your camera on, please do so. That's really helpful. I know for our guest, Anya, that will be really helpful for her to see your faces as well. I'll introduce her in just a moment here. I'm Kristin Ekkens. I'm one of the Edgewalkers and helping Judy in leading the Edgewalkers International. I'm also CEO and founder of Exponential Inclusion. And in what we do in that, actually, we're reinventing it right in this moment. And it's a social enterprise. But what I can say right now is that I am a social entrepreneur through and through, and I'm a hardcore edge walker, if I can call it that. So I've learned a lot about myself in the last 2 years about edge walking, and having met Judy just, I think it was about 2 years ago, something around that, and just dove right in. And I will say the connections that I've been making and meeting all of you beautiful people and humans has been one of the joys of this life. So thank you for attending. So I'm actually going to jump right in because Anya has some incredible things to share with us. And maybe one moment before we do, are there any announcements or quick things that people want to share, putting it in chat, or that maybe the easiest way for us to do it in this cafe is if you put it into the chat, if you have something that you want to share with the other Edgewalkers. This can be, it's a completely fine if you say, I have this coming up, check it out, because this is what we as Edgewalkers need to do for each other and with each other. Let each other know what's happening in this world for other Edgewalkers. And I'm actually doing one here with Tracy, who's on this call. We're going and hiking El Camino de Santiago together as Edgewalkers, and we're doing that with a small group of women in October. So we're looking forward to that, but please do put anything in the chat that you have that you'd like to announce to the other Edgewalkers. And without further ado, I'd love to introduce Anya. So Anya and I met. I'm going to do kind of a different kind of introduction because you can see her bio. She doesn't know how I'm going to introduce her, though. That's why I'm an Edgewalker.
No idea.
But Anya and I met. We met just in April or March, I believe it was.
Yeah, around there.
Around that time frame. And we realized that, wow, we are soul sisters. We have known each other for a much longer time than that. And we're at the point even right now of just being able to just kind of complete each other's sentences. And we live in different countries. We've never met in person. We haven't met virtually. Wow. So if you've felt this before with others, I'm sure you have. Understanding as Edgewalkers, we understand on other level and some others stand. And when we first met, I realized that, I need to introduce her to this group as well. And she first started and met with a community that I run around cultural Edgewalkers, people who are creating inclusive spaces around the world. And she did this talk with us back in March or April, I think it was. And a few of the people in the room said, was that just a TED talk that we had? I was like, I know I'm setting you up, Anya, but
that's so overselling.
What I have to say, though, is she has an incredible message to share with us. And it's called The Cosmic Blueprint, Lessons from the Universe. Today, Anya is hailing from the Netherlands. She also has a home in South Africa. She'll be going back to that in the next day or so. So I thank you for your time, Anya, for coming here, even while you're amidst travel and all of that. I'm going to have you share the lessons from the universe that you have to share with us. But brief background. is, and you see this in her bio that came out as we shared what was happening today, but a few key things I want to share with you. She is, and she has this in her bio, but I say this because I have witnessed it, she is a true dreamer. She is a creator. She is a starter of things. And she also understands the universe in such incredible ways, both as having studied astronomy at the university, but also as an edge walker. And so her passion for innovation and big ideas, she has helped me as a business owner look and see how I can see my business differently and also bring it out to the world differently. And we're actually looking at partnering in different ways to do this in a most effective way. So Anya, I'm going to hand it right over to you. Thank you for joining us today. It's our pleasure.
Thank you, Kristin.
Yes.
Thank you. And before I share my screen, I am a little bit technologically challenged, so just be patient with me. I'm Anya. Kristin said everything you needed to know. I've had a love affair with the universe since I was 5. So I'm excited to share some lessons that we can extract as humans from the universe and some of the teachings that I got that I thought was really valuable. My inspiration I draw from Carl Sagan. He was, I don't know who's familiar with him, but he did the whole Cosmos series. I also secretly have a love affair with him, as well as the universe. So without further ado, I'm going to share my screen. I've prepared some slides, so please just be patient for me. Kristin, you did enable my hosting, right? All right. All right. Can everybody see the presentation? I see it's at the end, so I
Yes.
need to just quickly.
But we can see it. So
fantastic.
And I will be putting everyone on mute as you come in. So we'll have a time that we'll be sharing afterward and asking questions to Anya. So while she's going through a presentation, or she may pause and ask us things during it as well, feel free to take yourself off mute during those times, but just to keep it quiet while she's presenting, I'll mute us.
Alrighty, let's see if this works.
I think, Anya, if you press, you're on that first slide, so if you press play, it should work.
Yeah, I've got a little thingy that's just going, so something's hanging at the moment.
Oh, well, that's right. Okay, the universe wants us to pause for just a moment while you're getting ready to share. I could do, while we're doing this, I can just mention a few people here. I see Amy has said, and you've seen this in the newsletter as well, that her next Roar of the More program, training and coaching 8-week series, starts on Tuesday, August 27th. So if you're interested in that free intro, August 20th, it will happen. So thank you so much for sharing that with us, Amy. All right, looks like Anya's still trying to get this little bug worked out here. If you're just joining us, my name is Kristin Ekkens, and I am here. We just introduced Anya Viviers, and you can actually find her on LinkedIn if you want to see her full bio there. We just did the bio and everything else. But Anya, if you want to also send it to me quickly, in Slack or wherever you'd like to, I can share the screen as well if that's helpful. Well, this could be interesting, couldn't it? We're all edge walking together in this. Okay, here we go. Yay, Anya, we see it, and it's at the start. Now we just need to be able to see you and hear you, and then we are set to go. Anya, are you there? Okay, all right. And then just unmute, ask to unmute. Okay, there we go.
Alrighty. Hi, everybody. Super apologies for that technical difficulty. Hopefully I'll make it up to you during this talk.
All good. We're ready for you. Thanks, Anya.
Awesome. So intro slide, you can all see. So we're going to talk today about lessons we can take from the universe. And I told you about my love affair with the universe since I was 5. And I think the first time I saw that it was something super special was when I looked up at the sky and I felt at the same time so far removed from everything and so connected to everything, all at the same time. And I kept wondering, is there someone else that's looking back at me and thinking about me being the human species? So without further ado, and with that intro, I want to provide you with a quote, a Carl Sagan quote. The cosmos is within us. We are made of star stuff, and we are a way for the universe to know itself. And I love this quote because during this talk, I'm going to let everybody know how close we actually are to stars. Everything we are made of, our bodies, our minds, everything is made up of elements that actually is being cooked in the middle of stars that are being born in nebula in the universe. That's how closely related we actually are.
Yeah.
All right, but I want to start you off with a story today. And that story is about the measure of a man. And I thought the lesson of innovation could really help us. We do find ourselves stuck in the business world. I know Kristin and I have had so many brainstorms around how we can individually and together make sure that our strategies are correct. And sometimes it's the simplest things we miss. So I want to tell you today about a guy called Eratosthenes, and he lived 2,200 years ago. That's quite a long time ago in Alexandria. He was actually the librarian in Alexandria. And what he did, he was wondering about the size of things and the distance between things. And he knew that in Syene, which is in Egypt and today's Aswan, there was a well. And on the summer solstice, the sun was directly overhead of this well, and all the sun rays kind of beamed into this well. So we knew that that was a very right angle. And then what he did was he went and planted a stick in Alexandria. Now, on a flat earth, I take this piece of paper, if I had a stick here and a stick here, on a flat earth, it would make sense that whatever the sunlight is that comes in would either get the sticks to throw the same length of shadows or throw no shadows equally. But because of the curvature of the Earth's surface, Eratosthenes thought, wow, okay, if I can get the difference between this angle and the stick that I planted's shadow, then I can work out some other very cool things. And what he did was he paid a guy, well, I hope he paid this guy to actually walk and measure the distance between Syene and Alexandria. And when they knew the angle, which was about 7 degrees between the two, and they knew the distance, they could then say, oh my word, okay, the Earth's circumference is most likely that distance times 50. And he came to a stunning conclusion that the Earth's circumference was, his estimate was about 40,000 kilometers. And that is very close to accurate. So for their measurements of the day, which was stadia, if we convert it today to our measurements, it's super duper accurate. Like we couldn't do that. And I think the lesson we can take from that is in innovation. How did someone with two sticks and shadows actually measure the circumference of Earth when he couldn't himself travel that distance? And I think that is such a beautiful way of seeing our problems and our problem sets and our strategy problems and our hitting our heads against a brick wall. Usually the answer lies in extremely simple stuff. And it just takes us to actually apply our minds in the right way to find the solution. And it's usually right there in front of you. So that's our first lesson from the universe, is Eratosthenes, who is speaking to me throughout the ages. And I use this lesson as a lesson in innovation almost every day of my life. It's super inspiring. So next we're going to see something amazing, and I hope this works. And I think that me putting this part into the presentation is probably why it broke earlier. So I am touching wood. This is the sheer size of stuff. And here I want us to take the lesson of humility out of it. I'm going back to 5 years old. I'm going back to looking up at the sky, and I'm going back to the realization that as small and insignificant we are as humans, when you see us in the greater scheme of things, at the same time, we are so rare and so unique and so precious that that those two juxtaposed just gives you the most amazing lesson in humility. So I'm going to play a video and I'll talk you through it. Now, this video is about the size of stuff. So we'll start with the moon, and then we'll go on to Mars, and then we'll go on to Earth, and then we'll go on to our last planet in our solar system, which is Neptune, although I am still upset for Pluto's sake that he's been demoted to a dwarf planet. But I'm sure you will find inspiration from this, the sheer size of stuff. So we've got the Earth with a radius of about 6,000 kilometers. Mars is on the other side of it. And then we've got Neptune, which has a radius of about 4 times that amount. Then we've got the beautiful ring planet, the jewel of our solar system, which is Saturn. Remember where Earth is. Then we've got Jupiter, which is a failed star, by the way. If Jupiter was just a little bit bigger, it would have given us a binary star system. And then we've got the sun, which is about 700,000 kilometers away. Now, this is Sirius A. Sirius A is the brightest star in our night sky, and you can see him with the naked eye. Look at our sun disappearing. This is Pollux. Pollux you can also see with the naked eye. That is in the constellation of Gemini in our night sky. This is Arcturus. Where's our sun now? We can't see it anymore. Aldebaran, that is the star in Taurus, which is a constellation in our night sky that we can see with the naked eye. And Rigel, we can also see with the naked eye at night. Now, these stars, we can see the sheer size of it. Now it's going to zoom in and it's going to show us our sun and our planets in comparison with Rigel. But Rigel isn't that big. It's very average. So now we get to the Pistol star, which up till recently we thought was the biggest star in our known universe, but it turned out to not be. This one we can see it with the naked eye as well. That is Antares. Antares is in the heart of the Scorpion constellation. And then we see Mu Cephei, which is still bigger. Then we found VY-CMA. We started running out of creative names by the time we discovered these stars. And then you get to the grand scale of nebulas. Now, nebulas are huge clouds of gas and dust in the universe, and they're actually stellar nurseries. So they call them stellar nurseries because that's when the density creates that pressure, then stars explode and form. in this great scheme of things, here we see a dwarf galaxy. A dwarf galaxy is way smaller than our Milky Way. And all of the stars you just saw is in our Milky Way. This is our Milky Way galaxy. And we are a tiny, tiny little speck in the Sagittarius arm of the in one of the spiral arms of the Milky Way. So let us not forget while this video plays out, how small, insignificant, and precious we are. But that should also provide us with a sense of unity. You know, there is zero reason for, when you understand the scope of the universe and the observable universe, there's zero reason for us to not unite as a human species. I would like to see that in the near future. I don't know if it's ever going to happen, but that would be really awesome if we could be nice to each other, I think. All right, so who knows this photograph? Anyone? No. Right, so in 1977, my Carl, you know, he was part of a project, the Voyager spacecraft project, and we had Voyager 1 and Voyager 2, and they actually launched number 2 first, which was weird. Something happened. And what they did was Voyager 1 was going to go past Saturn and Jupiter to kind of observe the planets and how they work. Voyager 2 was going to go for Neptune. And as Voyager 1 went past towards the edge of our solar system, went past Jupiter and towards the end of the solar system, they turned its cameras around. And do you see that beam of light, orange light, in this photograph? And that white speck, that's Earth. That's us. That's where we're hanging. And that's not even outside of our solar system. And I would like to read you a piece that Sagan wrote about this that I find super inspiring. And he said, we succeeded in taking the picture from deep space. And if you look at it, you see a dot. That's here. That's home. That's us. On it, everything you ever heard of, every human being ever lived out their lives. The aggregate of all our joys and suffering, thousands of confident religions, ideologies, and economic doctrines, every hunter and forager, every hero, every coward, every creator and destroyer of civilizations, every king and peasant, every young couple in love, every hopeful child, every mother and father, every inventor and explorer, every teacher of morals, every corrupt politician. I'm sure we can all appreciate that one. Every superstar, every supreme leader, every saint and sinner in the history of our species lived there on a mote of dust suspended in a sunbeam. The earth is a very small stage in a vast cosmic arena. Think of the rivers of blood spilled by all those generals and emperors so that in the glory and triumph, they could become momentary masters of a fraction of a dot. Think of the endless cruelties visited by the inhabitants of one corner of the dot, scarcely distinguishable from inhabitants of some other corner of the dot. How frequent the misunderstandings, how eager we are to kill each other, how fervent our hatreds, our posturings, our imagined self-importance, the delusion that we have some privileged position in the universe. All of those are challenged by this point of pale light. To my mind, there is perhaps no better demonstration of the folly of human conceits than this distant image of our tiny world. To me, it underscores our responsibility to deal more kindly and compassionately with one another and to preserve and cherish this pale blue dot, the only home we've ever known. That to me is one of the most powerful things. And I just wanted to remind everyone that you are here on the edge of the Milky Way. And from this, I want us to extract the lesson of humility. when we have true humility, I do believe it breeds kindness, it breeds understanding, and it breeds a diverse human race that can live in harmony together. I will read this to you. The humility we gain from recognizing our small place in the cosmos should also motivate us to act with greater care and responsibility. We only have that pale blue dot at the moment. We need to take care of it and each other. Right, let's move on to another lesson from the universe. This is about the vastness of cosmic time. If you ask me, time doesn't really exist, but that is a theory for another day. A lesson in purpose and urgency. Right, so this is the cosmic calendar. This is an amazing tool to help us understand how old things are and what portion of that time we've actually lived on Earth. And it's very tiny. So what they did was people have different belief systems, but according to what we can see, the universe is about 13.8 billion years old. And therefore, they've tried to condense that down into one earthly year. So on our cosmic calendar, for instance, each month represents 1.15 billion years, and each second is 500 years. So that's quite hectic. Key events, January 1st. What happened then? The Big Bang. Or if you are not keen on the Big Bang theory, something that looked like a Big Bang happened on the 1st of January. January the 10th, your first stars started to form. March the 15th, Milky Way galaxy forms. That's our kind of city in the cosmos. When do you think Earth formed? August 31st. In a month's time, Earth formed. So if I didn't make you feel completely small by now, like this is worse. Okay. September 21st, life begins on Earth, and we're talking about microbial life. Now we're skipping to December 17th, where the first multicellular organisms appear. December 25th, dinosaurs dominate the Earth. We're nowhere to be seen yet. December 30th, dinosaurs become extinct. December 31st, 11:52 p.m., just before midnight, humans appear. That's how long we've been here in a cosmic year on the cosmic calendar, about 8 minutes of an entire year. December 31st, 11:59, modern humans, Homo sapiens, emerge. And 11:59 and 59 seconds p.m., all of recorded human history, including the development of agriculture and all of that stuff that happens, appear and runs its course. So if we look at the cosmic calendar in a little bit more of a close-up way, let's see human history. So we've got the final minute of the cosmic calendar here. And in the final minute, we've got from the ancient Egyptians to agriculture being invented or being, all the religions fit into that minute. Scientific revolution fits into that minute. The first industrial revolution fits into that 1 minute. The world wars, the Cold War, the year 2000, and now what seems to be a prediction of the AI revolution. Everything we've ever known happens in the last minute on our cosmic calendar. All right. Here, to me, if I had to extract a lesson, it would be one of purpose and urgency. So when we see all of our history condensed into such a small minute of a cosmic calendar, I think the impact that we have as humans in such a short time becomes very apparent. that impact can either be positive or negative. So there is a sense of urgency and a sense of getting a positive purpose so that we all move in a positive direction as the human race. We don't have much time, but our impact is big. And now we're going to see something very interesting. We're going to learn a lesson in unity. And I called this the mirrored universe because I want to ask you a question. Who knows what that is? Anyone? No?
One of them's our brain. I think one of them's our brain, or the neurons in our brain, and the other one is the neurons, right? Right?
Yeah, absolutely. So on the left, you have the neurons in our brain, and on the right, you have the structure of galaxies with all the pathways between them and dark matter. It looks eerily similar. It's quite fantastic to see that because we are made out of star stuff, we are made of all the elements that get cooked in the middle of stars. Because of that, evolution or whatever process you think created humans really looked for the most convenient way to create species and humans. So almost down to a T, the prevalence of certain molecules in the universe and certain, stuff in the universe, that is almost down to a T the same makeup that a human being has. We are truly made of star stuff, and not even just in the components, in the ratios as well. So we are a way for the universe to reflect itself, or the universe is a way for us to reflect ourselves. We will never know the answer, unfortunately, because here's the deal. We cannot take our processor up here out of the equation. We cannot get rid of the observer. But either way, it's a big lesson in unity. We are one with each other, but also with other species, also with things in the universe that seems inanimate and seems like it doesn't have anything to do with us. We're made of the same stuff. We're just a different system. It's been put together differently. And we contemplate ourselves and we think that is what makes us amazing. And it does. But we can never be sure if that contemplation is inward or outward. Once again, we get back to we are unified with everything around us, with nature, with the earth, with other human beings, and with the universe. This is a slide I'm not going to go through. This brings me to our lesson 4, and that is the lesson in unity. So we've had humility, we've had purpose, we've had urgency, and innovation. And I think it's great to end this off with unity, to realize that we're all part of the same thing. We're all part of the same machine. The only way we can move forward as a species is to realize that and to become true custodians of our planet and our human race. And then we can see if we can go further. It was so funny. I read this morning, I read one of my sci-fi. I like my sci-fi. One of my sci-fi books is a little bit of a relax. And it was a story where they predict that in 2003, humans have now become a spacefaring, a spacefaring race. And I thought to myself, we had high hopes for ourselves back then, like super high hopes, 2003. We didn't make it by then, but we can still. And I think it's super important for us to act as one species and for us to pull together and for us to look to the stars, for us to realize just how connected we are to the universe around us. And I'll leave you with a quote from my car. Somewhere, something incredible is waiting to be known. That something incredible is in us every day. We just need to apply some innovation to find it. And I'm going to leave you with that. And I hope you enjoyed the talk and the little bit of learnings from the universe. Yeah, that's me.
Let's give Anya a round of applause, however you'd like to do that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Anya. That was incredible. So many insights. I actually want to open it up to everyone here that we can have a brief discussion. We still have about 20 minutes or so together. And I'd love for us to share what are some of the insights that you had. I'll start us off while people are thinking about it. For me, there was quite a few moments. We wrote it in the chat when I said, mind blown. One specifically, though, that I took a note on, the cosmic calendar. I have never, ever thought about it in that way. And that was incredibly helpful. But that humans in the last 8 minutes, and then in the last minute, you said everything else happened.
Everything we know.
And it's like that does put it into our brains, our perspective, the way that we know in terms of calendars and whatnot. To me, at least, that was very mind-blowing and helpful. Did anyone else find the same insights there or different ones related to that? Please feel free to share.
You know, this is Josh. I think actually it's interesting. I love this presentation. Thanks so much. It actually made me think about some other stuff that I was thinking about. But it's interesting that you went to a macro level of the universe and you could go to the micro level of particles and have the same, almost the exact same lessons.
Yes, absolutely. So
because quantum physics says almost the same stuff that you know you're saying too. It's really kind of nice. I loved it.
Yeah. So when I went up in size, I actually had a section in that was going down in size, you know, down to the Planck length. And that was just a lot and too much. So
yeah.
next time we'll do it the other way around.
Yeah,
we'll have you back for that part.
That's great. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Josh. Anyone else like to share some insights you had, something that was really intriguing to you from this, something that stuck out, or even if it wasn't from that, but just a thought, a question, anything you have for Anya as well?
Anything.
Rex, over to you.
Yeah, I had an experience when I was 5 where this is crazy and I could never talk to anyone for years about it, but I was playing in my parents' lounge. I stepped off the sofa and I did not fall down. It was about a second or so before I fell down. And as a 5-year-old, you know, you just sort of, what happened there? And then he carried on playing. But that night, when I was in bed, the whole thing came back to me again in vivid detail. And the question was, why did I fall down? And the only conclusion I could reach is because that's what I was told happens. And I rapidly began to realize that so much of our lives, we are enculturated to believe some things. From that, I deduced that, so if it's true, how would it be if that wasn't true? And at that stage, I went into another stage altogether, and it scared me because I suddenly realized the extent, in a sense, of reality. It was beyond my imagination. And I quickly realized that if I did know this, I would go mad because the choices and options available would be incredible. So the best thing to do is accept what I'm being told, but never forget it's not true. And the interesting thing about that was that I later was with Aboriginals in Sarawak, Malaya. And I was adopted by them, and basically, which meant that I was brought into their culture. And it was stunning because all of that fear disappeared because they had no sense of being separate from all it is. And how they deal with it is completely different. So when I look at this, for me, this is the problem with the Western culture, which is it's highly materialistic. Everything can be measured. But when you step into a different culture and you allow intuition to guide you, fear drops away and you become intensely aware of everything.
I absolutely love what you just said. I'm not putting my head on a block here in the rest of the scientific community, but I think what you're saying, Rex, it's Rex. I think what you're saying is that, and this is so true, that our perception creates everything, right? the way we believe about something creates everything. And I
Sorry,
was
no. Sorry, just quickly. Sorry, I would just change that and say the way we are told our perception works creates a reality, and it's an incredibly limited reality.
Yeah.
But because of the fear that exists within us, we accept it and we work within it. But my sense is there's far more. And
yeah. So I don't know, but it's probably great to not know. What I do know is I don't think that our reality, what we're seeing around us right at the moment, even this experience, is true. Well, it's true in that it's an interpretation our brain makes, right? So we only work with this computer up here, and that is unfortunately where we are. Outside of that, if we take the brain out of that, who knows what happens? And like you said, I'm not sure we can deal with it. It's almost like we've got a self-soothing kind of built-in, thing that protects us, that just allows us to be a human.
It is. The interesting thing is, how do we then answer this question of when an intuitive thought arises? It's not something we've logically sort of come up with, but somehow it's almost as if a suggestion is planted and it changes reality, if we accept it. And I love, this is really what I enjoy, which is this idea of opening to your intuition and just going with it.
Yeah.
Because then magic happens.
I love talking about these things. I could keep you busy on this for 24 hours, like seriously. But yeah, we don't have any of those answers. I wouldn't know what to say. I just think that we all have our different ways of thinking about this. I think you are very much in line with the way I think about this. But, it almost becomes purposeless in the end. And without being nihilistic, it's really not easy to have concrete answers if everything is wrong. If you get what I'm saying.
I don't know it's wrong. I think because this is the big sort of issue, really, isn't it? Nothing's right and nothing's wrong. It's just as it is.
Yeah.
And so therefore, in a sense, so long as we stay within that context, then it makes sense.
Yeah.
But it's really enormous fun to step out to when intuition or another thought that has not been logically derived arises, and you just let it inhabit you for a while, and it can change things.
Rex, oh, sorry, Anya. Can I just add an example here, just a personal example for me this morning that relates to this, that I had this moment of, it feels like my world is shifting, because it is, both spiritually, physically, mentally, everything seems to be shifting right now for me. And even my business is shifting, and I feel it going into a very positive place. Yet these moments of fear, they talk about what people tell us it should be, they rise up and they can swallow it can swallow our intuition even in some ways, or silence it, I'll say. And so this morning, though, what I had was this moment of silence that I just said, what needs to come to me right now, whether it's God, the universe, whatever, we might say for me, it was what needs to come to me right now. And the words that came were social innovation and social entrepreneur. And I went on my computer and I just started typing in, because these are the things that I've been living into, these spaces, but the fear swallowed that piece for me again. And I put those in, and all of a sudden, the confidence came back again, and a lot of the key thoughts of, this is what you're here for. Don't forget, this is what you're here for. Bring light and kindness. You are a social entrepreneur, so you see things differently. And I just share that because that thought, it had to come to me again in a way when I was in my silent moment, and it wasn't me creating that thought, but getting that thought back again to give me confidence. I just felt like sharing that. Not sure if it was helpful to anyone, but that's great. Related, Rex, to what you were saying. Thank you for that share and for your story.
Thank
Rex.
you.
Really powerful, really
super valuable, but I will now not sleep at night. I will be pondering that until I have to sleep to stay alive.
Oh, thank you so much. Okay, I see a hand up. And Peggy, I did see your hand go up first a little bit earlier. Did you still have something to share? And then we'll go over to Dr. Kayanush. Good for now?
I don't remember now.
Okay, well, we'll come back to you if you have that back. Okay, Dr. Is it Kayanush?
Yes, Kianush. My
Kianush.
apology, I can't be on camera. I'm on transit, so but I just want to contribute a little bit to my
Please.
experience. I had a near-death experience actually in 2006. So I was out after surgery for 2 minutes, was brought back with the CPR in that under 2 minutes. So I just stepped into the world of the spiritual beings, you know, and the one consciousness and the oneness that Anya was talking about it. So it's really, for me, it just was just the repeat of the experience that I had. I really felt that I'm one with everything else in the world. And when I came back, you know, miraculously, I was brought back with the CPR. I still feel that oneness with everything around me. It doesn't matter if there are the squirrels or there are the trees or I mean anything, you know, in the nature around this earth. And I mean, that's what my reason just shifted, you know, from my background as a pathologist and in healthcare, going to the coaching, and now I'm coaching on spiritual intelligence and emotional intelligence in healthcare and education as our initiatives for the nonprofit that I launched later on as my purpose and mission and calling, you know, in the world. But one thing that I really relate to is what that Pierre Chardin says, that we are not, you know, human being experiencing a spirituality. We are a spiritual being experiencing humanity and human beings. And I do feel that this is a school of life. This is a project of our spirits, you know, and our mission, you know, and to deliver what we have been told on and we have been given as a hidden promise. So to deliver in this world, but I mean, humans are too busy with their daily living life that they forget that promise and that beings and their essence. And just wanted to contribute on that and appreciate this talk and conversation. And I love the cosmic calendar very much too.
That's fantastic.
Truly incredible share. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much for that share. And everything is one. My 11-year-old reminded me the other day, Mom, you know that obviously we've got quite a scientifically oriented house. My husband's a biologist as well. So like we talk a lot about this stuff. And he was reminding me, you know, that things don't actually ever touch. There's always a space between everything. And it's those kinds of concepts that just reminds us that we are just all part of the same continuation and flow of energy and intelligence and whatever's. There's no real distance between us. And if there is a distance, it's the same distance. We just see all these fractal things and all these differences between a tree and a human and a this and a that. But everything gets governed by the same laws and the same underlying structure. So there is no difference. We are one with everything. So you felt that correctly.
Thank you. James, over to you. I see your hand up.
That presentation was absolutely fantastic. The visuals and the words around them were real. I don't know what I think. I don't know where I am. I'd like to watch it again. I think we can. So, but what came up for me was there's a lot of poetry in the words, I think, and the whole flow of what's there. I didn't hear the music. And the reason why I'm present to the music dimension is that an hour before this session started, I was doing a quasi-meditative process. And I was listening to Rhapsody in Blue. And I observed as I listened and rested and was with myself, that Rhapsody in Blue described step by step, over and over again, a relationship I was in that lasted about 20 years. That was the most important relationship of my life. And as I watched and listened to your presentation, which was really quite fantastic, I was kind of wondering where the music that fits there is, and what in the world I'm going to think happened in 2 hours when I cool down for my next Zoom and try to figure out what I was just exposed to, which was very, very rich. So I want to thank you for quite a fantastic experience on, I guess it's Thursday morning. Thank you.
It's a big pleasure. Music. I must actually think about that angle. That's a very interesting comment. Yeah, I'll think about like how we can maybe because it's one of our primary senses, and sound is such a deep part of humanity. On one of the Voyager spacecrafts, for instance, they had a golden record that they sent out with it that was filled with the sounds from Earth. And it had children laughing, and it had whale sounds, and it had old songs, and it had all of these things. So yeah, it does play a big part. I haven't thought about that angle, so thank you very much.
There's
Rhapsody in Blue, I'm going to go look that up.
There's a writer named Ian McGilchrist who is in England, who's a psychiatrist who writes on the brain, and he actually has a really good section about music and the brain and its relationship to language, and actually how music is a predecessor to language, and because of its dynamics, flow, and because it's more about it's how do you express it? Words, you can't express everything. It's a rational system, and you can't express the irrational, but with music you can.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm going to look that up very definitely.
I'll throw it out here first. Does anyone have a song that came to mind, or music that came to mind, or is playing in your head right now after listening to this?
Well, Dvorak and the New World Symphony always comes up in circumstances like this. It's like unavoidable. It fits so well.
I love that question, James. And I'm like thinking right now. I love that question. Thank you so much for that insight and that thinking. Any other questions or comments or stories or shares that you might have? We have about 4 minutes left. If not, we'll wrap it up just a few minutes early, but I'd love to hear. Paul, I see you off mute. Do you have a comment?
Yeah, I was just thinking about the music thing because that's my world. Judy and I right now are helping design a course called Songwriting and Leadership with the Resonance Institute, and I think the creation and the universe is music. It started with sound, and so that's one of the things I explore with music is and my life especially when I'm operating well, there's like a music that I'm hearing inside of me that informs how I interact with things, so it's that really like struck a bell for me. When I create music, I'm trying to express that experience in some way, and I think the most effective way is like we were talking about, like the thoughts. Like if I'm creating and thinking about it, that's like the worst scenario. When I seem to shut off my brain, then I'm accessing something that's already there rather than actually inventing it or creating it myself. So it's about being open to that.
Can I ask a question? When you're in creation mode, do you feel like something is flowing through you and you are just the instrument through which it comes? Or is it kind of something from scratch? It's a difficult question.
Yeah, it's similar to that. I do this thing I make a date with the muse. So I say, okay, I'm going to do something. I don't even know what I'm going to do. I also paint and things like that, but it's like getting quiet and turning off the internal dialogue and then seeing what I'm moved to, and I used to create a lot on planes. I'd get into my little music app and write music, just not even thinking about it. And I just considered it like a scrapbook journal. And then I went back and listened. I go, oh, some of this is pretty good, because I wasn't thinking much at all, you know, just how to operate it. And yeah, so it's definitely like trying to, we call it in songwriting, my friend Spring calls it catching a song. It's out there and you just gotta like, hey, come here. Oh, there it is.
Love that. So we
That's
have
pretty
just
cool.
1 minute left, but I see Mary, your hand's up. So we'll take yours and then we'll wrap up the call today.
Yes, I was just wondering if you would share with us ways that you are working with people, with students, with learners, in terms of what positions them to have, to be living a life that allows continual revelation.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So my true answer out of my heart is I keep trying to inspire that in people, but I don't know how yet, to be totally honest. I know Kristin and I have a little mission that we are going on, where we want to bring the one human experience to as broad of an audience as we can. How we do that, we're busy figuring out. Hopefully it can reach a lot of people. I kind of just grab whatever opportunity there is to speak to people about this. So there's no structure, there's no plan, except for the structured plan that Kristin and I are going to implement. In my younger days, I did a lot of outreach work, in South Africa, in some of the communities that have been left behind by the unfortunate system of apartheid we had. So I went in there and we started doing some education in schools. You know, it was so beautiful just to see a child's eyes light up when you just honor a piece of a toilet roll we would use, and then we would lay that out and build a solar system on there, and that sheer size where they haven't seen anything but their direct environment, that sheer size thing in their minds just made those little eyes light up. So my answer to the question is I've got nothing structured in place. The passion is to inspire human beings to human a little bit better. And hopefully we don't kill ourselves before we can get to the stars. You know, it's we run the risk of either making this really good or making this really bad. And people always ask me what's going to happen if we don't look after the planet. Well, here's the thing, you know, the planet's still going to be there. We will not. The planet's going to be fine. The planet will grow some volcanoes. It will be covered in lava or whatever. We won't. So if there ever has been a selfish kind of get our act straight, that's it. Like, we need a place to live and we need to live together. I'm not sure. Kristin and I are going to work hard on this one human experience. We really want to make sure that goes worldwide. And we would like to create some really cool impact nodes around the world where people can spread the message, not just from an astronomy aspect, but from all different, you know, kind of disciplines. Because the message is one message, and that is that we're all living one human experience. I just happen to use the universe, which I love, to get that message across. Other people use other stuff. I don't know if that answered your question properly, but there you go.
I'd love to just say one more thing here as we formally wrap up. Anya, do you have just a few more moments that we can stay on if people have more questions? I see Rex, your hand is up. Just thank you. If you have to jump to another call or whatnot, thank you. Thank you for joining and for your incredible participation, everyone, in this call. It's been just such a pleasure to have you, Anya. Insightful in every turn. So thank you for that. And I will say what Anya was mentioning about this one human experience, we could certainly use your feedback and insight too as we build this out. So you'll be hearing more about this soon. I'm going to hand it over. So let's actually first give Anya a little round of applause before we move on. And then Rex, I'm going to turn it over to you for your comment and question. Oh, you're on mute still.
Just a very quick note, really. The Science Medical Network actually discusses this because its role is to try and bring together somehow science and the numinous. And so there's been some fascinating discussions on that. So do have a look at the Science Medical Network if you want to go a little bit further with these issues.
Amazing. Thank you for that. Absolutely. We'll take any other feedback, comments, or whatnot. So thank you, everyone. Our next cafe is August 29th with Sally. He's fantastic. So I can't wait to hear what he has to say in August. Jimena, thank you for that and letting us know when it is. Thank you, everyone. We'll stay on a few more minutes if anyone else wants to chat, but we appreciate you. Take care.
Bye, everyone.